The Thunder look unstoppable, and at the center of it all is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's playing the best basketball of his career. Against a great defense that threw every possible look his way, from different matchups to unconventional tactics, he looked completely unbothered, as he often does. So what is it that makes him immune to these defensive schemes, and why does he feel more inevitable than ever? In today's video brought to you by PrizePicks, we're going to break down why entire teams have no chance of stopping Shai. That starts with the fact that he's one of those rare offensive talents who's basically never impacted by one individual defender. Pressure's a non-factor because he's an all-time great ball handler with the best change of speed in the league. Length doesn't affect him because he's arguably the best space creator we've ever seen and can hit every shot under the sun. Physicality doesn't bother him because he's incredibly physical himself, has the balance and body control to never get bumped off his spot, and of course, knows how to get to the free throw line. The consistent theme, no matter how big, fast, strong, or skilled, nobody in the league can stay in front of him. In round 1, the Suns tried everybody. We saw full court pressure and ball denial from Dillon Brooks in hopes of pushing him out with power. We saw Ryan Dunn in hopes of taking away some of his driving angles and contesting his jumpers with length. Not to mention Royce O'Neal, Oso Ighodaro, Jalen Green, and Devin Booker on switches. I wasn't exaggerating, they actually tried guarding him with the entire roster. In a historic Game 3 performance, it was Collin Gillespie, who's a really interesting choice. He's only 6'1", but has a very stout frame, so he's somebody who can absorb bumps and hold his ground. More importantly, he's super quick laterally, meaning he can apply constant pressure, and he's great at getting around screens. So if needed, he can stay attached to the ball at all times. It almost felt like they were trying to recreate Andrew Nembhard, who, in my opinion, is the best Shai defender in the league. Like I said though, there isn't any one defender that bothers him to a noticeable degree. He'll get his game off against anyone, and Gillespie's no exception. Constant pressure and elite lateral quickness are only a factor if you can stay in front of the ball. We've established that that's not going to happen thanks to his change of speed and handle. On this one, Gillespie's ready to meet him at half court, where OKC starts to set up a series of ball screens. In typical Shai fashion, he sets up the ball screen with a left-hand hesitation before crossing back over, which completely takes Gillespie out of the play. This time, you're going to see Gillespie pick him up 94 feet. Not only is he completely unbothered, just jogging the ball up court, even in the rare event he does get cut off, he'll just drop a shoulder into his chest and go right through him. Or he'll use his height advantage, rising over the top of him on a mid-range jumper like he doesn't even exist. He'll also leverage his size by starting from the mid-post. Gillespie's unable to get to an entry pass, and once he's got the ball that close to the basket, it's too easy. Essentially, Shai's got everything he needs at his disposal. He can go around him, through him, over him, or any combination of the three. If there isn't help, it's a bucket. The thing is, there was help, or at least an attempt to help on all of these plays. The first clip I showed of Gillespie's pressure in the backcourt was actually supposed to be a trap. Shai just navigated it to literal perfection. When he got picked up at half court and shook him at the point of attack, not only was Green ready to help on the side of a screen, Ighodaro was waiting to meet him at the three-point line, so after losing Gillespie, he then had to cross back over to win the advantage. When Gillespie again picked him up full court, then cut off his baseline drive, Ighodaro tried to come with a late double, but by the time he got there, Shai was already walking into a layup. When he shot over him, he wasn't just shooting over him. The Suns built a wall to keep him away from the basket, then he rose over the top of everybody. When he posted up and caught the ball with inside position, Green met him immediately, so he went to a Euro step to create an angle. On each of these buckets, it's clear that his mindset isn't to beat the individual defender, it's to beat the team by reading their coverage and finding little pockets of space. As a team, in the first round, the Suns tried everything. It just didn't matter. We've all heard of different players being described as immune to double teams. That title's generally reserved for elite passers because of how they make defenses pick their poison. Luka, Jokic, LeBron. Shai isn't that caliber of passer, but he might be the most double-team proof player we've ever seen. To understand why, we first have to think about the different types of double teams. The most common is a blitz, where someone comes off a ball screen and that second defender jumps out in a trap to get the ball out of his hands. Luka is the most blitzed player in the league. Defenses don't want him turning the corner with a live dribble. By putting 2 on him, that decision has to be made earlier, and then it's one of his teammates who's going to have to make a play to extend the advantage. Granted, this doesn't always work, because part of what makes Luka such a special talent is that after getting blitzed, he can just skip through the entire process by passing the ball cross court, leading to corner threes. Another way you'll see teams put 2 on the ball is with a hard double, having a second defender rush up even if there's no action. Teams used to do this with James Harden in Houston, trapping him as far out as half court to get the ball out of his hands, forcing other guys to make decisions and hit shots. Similar to Luka, he knows how to direct traffic and find all of the right pressure points as a passer. But the idea behind the coverage is to make somebody else beat them. So even if guys like Luka or Harden are making all of the right decisions to get the ball where it needs to go, they're playing into the hands of the scheme. Because when you're sending a blitz or a hard double, you're prioritizing not letting them get to pressure points themselves and limiting their shot attempts. Look no further than Game 2 between the Lakers and the Rockets. They went with an anyone but KD strategy, hard doubling on every single touch. And it didn't matter how many times he made the right read to create a 4-on-3 advantage. His teammates couldn't consistently score. But at no point did he force the issue. At no point did he beat the double with his handle and stress the defense in other ways. The Lakers wanted anyone but KD to beat them, and he only attempted 12 shots, allowing them to stick to their structure the entire night. That's where Shai separates himself from even the best offensive players on the planet. He sees a hard double or a blitz, yet still gets exactly where he wants to go on the court every time, which completely collapses defenses. Here's a great example. The Nuggets are coming with the exact same covers that the Lakers sent to KD. If you were to get rid of the ball right here, Cam Johnson would be able to rotate to either McCain or Caruso, and those guys would be forced to make decisions against closeouts. By attacking in the opposite direction of the double, it creates space for McCain to move into, and now all he's got to do is catch and shoot. Then it happened again a few minutes later. Shai gets the ball up top, and at the exact moment Murray starts to double from his left, he bursts into a drive right, clearing that space for Caruso to move into and drill a big-time triple. You can't be doubled if you never let the double get to you. About a month ago, the Pistons tried this exact same strategy. In crunch time, they wanted to send hard doubles from the middle of the floor to make anybody else beat them. As soon as it comes, Shai explodes in the opposite direction, gets around his man, and draws a foul. Here it was again on the final possession of the fourth. As soon as Herter steps up from his left, he drives right, then creates a ton of space with a step back. A little bit too much space, actually. His game winner gets waved off for an offensive foul. But while we're on the topic of creating space with push-offs and hitting game winners, the way Shai attacks double teams is exactly how Michael Jordan used to. As soon as he sees it coming from his left, he spins into a drive right and finds some space baseline. This time he catches the ball up top, and he knows the Lakers are going to come with an immediate double from the middle, so he instantly attacks wide and pulls up for a jumper. The reason this works is because the first defender has no chance of staying in front of him. It doesn't matter if they angle their body to push him into the double team. He'll find a way to get around them and force the issue elsewhere, which is exactly what we're seeing from Shai. At no point is this double team even a factor. He knows he can beat LeVert going the other way, forcing help from the corner and leading to a 3 for Caruso. However, there are situations where it makes more sense to get rid of the ball early, and those are the situations that Shai started to recognize a lot quicker this season. Think about the stress this puts on a defense. When sending a hard double or a blitz, not only do you have to worry about him attacking on a drive anyways, if your positioning is even slightly off, he'll make the right read as a playmaker. In simpler terms, you can't double him at the point of attack. It just isn't going to work. But those aren't the only types of doubles. There's also a late double, where the defense waits for a player to get into his attack, then comes with a second body, often from a blind side. Usually, this is meant to take advantage of slower processors who struggle to see the entire court while on the move. That's how the Celtics used to defend Joel Embiid during their playoff matchups. They knew they couldn't stop him one-on-one, but by coming with a double as soon as he made up his mind to score, they could attack his court mapping. Over the years, Embiid developed into a pretty good passer from a standstill. He's got the size to see everything and can actually make a wide variety of passes. So when that double comes just a touch too early, he'll probably make the right read, creating tons of open shots for his teammates. But as soon as he puts the ball down and starts thinking score, he loses that ability to map the court, which is what the Celtics took advantage of. All they needed was for Horford to stand his ground and not let Embiid get around him. That late double from his blindside would take care of the rest. And it bled into every facet of his offensive value, because not only was he now turning the ball over, he was also missing reads and overthinking his process as a scorer. Take this play for example. Horford angles his body to take away the baseline, and Brown aggressively plays the gap. However, he's not comfortable taking a couple dribbles towards Brown to make him commit, leading to an awkward possession where he just isn't sure how to approach the coverage. Earlier this season, the Nuggets tried hitting Shai with some late doubles, waiting for him to get into his attack, then coming with a second body from either the baseline or the top of the key. But like the hard doubles, he completely picked them apart due to two key traits. First is his improved processing. As soon as that double comes, he's not only quick to recognize it, he's quick to figure out how to beat it as a playmaker. Second is his pull-up shot making. In theory, a late double should deter you from scoring, but when you can easily just rise up, it isn't actually a factor. Basically, Shai can't be doubled in any way, at any spot on the court, or at any time. Some teams figured this out a couple years ago. In the second round of the 2024 playoffs, the Mavs opted for more of a zone type of look, loading up in the gaps behind the play so that even if Shai beats his defender, he'd just run into a wall and be forced to kick it out to weaker shooters. This version was a lot more raw as a processor and decision maker, yet he was still able to counter this coverage as a shot maker, using his handle to get to his spots inside the arc and rising right over help time and time again. They ended up losing the series in a close 6 games, while he posted averages of 32 points and 7 assists on 60% true shooting. In the 2025 second round, we saw an even more extreme version of this from the Nuggets, an actual matchup zone, plugging all of Shai's driving gaps in hopes of forcing other guys to make decisions against their rotations. The coverage caught him a little bit off guard earlier in the series. By the end, he had completely figured it out though. Similarly, he could access those mid-range jumpers whenever he wanted, but now he was mixing in more advanced playmaking reads to get the ball to different pressure points, and he realized that by playing faster, he could get downhill before the defense set. The series was tied at 2 games apiece. From games 5 to 7, Shai averaged 33 points on 71% true shooting, against a scheme that was meant to make literally anybody else beat them. By now, he's seen it all. There's no feeling out the coverage and figuring out how to beat it. No matter how you bring help, he's gonna impose himself on games both as a scorer and as a playmaker. It's a level of inevitability that's only been matched by monstrous volume playoff scorers like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. And that's why it didn't matter what the Suns tried in the first round. Real quick, I want to take a moment to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. If you know you can play responsibly and you have the means to do so, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy app. So if you're looking for a place to get in on the NBA playoffs, use code HMA and get started. This series is over, but we've got a big one coming up between the Knicks and the Hawks. Jalen Brunson emptying the clip in a closeout game feels like a foregone conclusion. I'll take him for more than 27.5 points. We've got another Game 6 out west, and in Game 5, the Nuggets made an effort to involve Cam Johnson in the offense. He scored 18. I think he'll get more than 12 this time around. And it's that simple. Find the stat you want, pick more or less, and you've got your lineup. If you sign up for PrizePicks with code HMA and play $5, you get $50 in lineups instantly. So download the app or click the link in the description to get started and let me hear your picks down in the comments. In round 1, the Suns wanted to keep Shai away from the middle of the floor. So for the most part, they iced against ball screens, pushing the ball to the sideline with Iguodala up in a high drop coverage. But like I said earlier, if Shai wants to go right, he's going right, and that's just automatic. Here's another example. Gillespie tries to force him right and almost gets it done, but he's just too slithery. And once he gets to the paint, the entire defense has to collapse, leading to a quality 3 for Wallace. The only way they could actually push him to the sideline was by completely selling out and parking another defender in the middle. All that does though is let him get inside the arc with Gillespie on his hip while the big drops back, giving him access to the mid-range. His patience really stood out on these plays. They're once again trying to push him to the sideline with a defender in the middle, but this time there's somebody in that strong side corner, so he can't get to that baseline jumper. Instead, he waits for some space to clear, then attacks one-on-one, and the Suns build a wall, which he of course rises over the top of. Phoenix wasn't stuck to that one coverage though. Sometimes they'd have Iguodala jump out to the ball in a soft hedge in hopes of making him get rid of the ball early. But again, he patiently waits for that space to clear, then goes one-on-one. The Suns boxed off the entire paint except for the right elbow, so he sets up his move to attack that opening, leaving him with easy points. They also mixed in some hard hedging, with Iguodala fully committing to the ball. That didn't catch him off guard though. He remained poised, read the floor, made the right pass, and created an advantage to attack. Or he continued to just ignore it. Iguodala jumps out, and instead of quickly getting rid of the ball, he keeps his dribble live, waits a second, then faces up to isolate. Notice how the Suns are guarding him, aggressively playing the gaps to keep him away from the basket. This is that matchup zone I was talking about. Anytime he got the ball up top, he was staring down a wall of defenders. Here they're in a 3-2 zone, yet he still finds a way to drive into the gap, draw help, and create a wide open corner 3. One way he beat the zone was by playing fast. They're only going to get into that setup once he gets the ball. If he catches and goes before they set, he can break it down. Just take a look at how much space there is when he first gets a touch. Instead of 2 defenders at the elbows, they're pulled to the wings. So by driving immediately, he's able to put pressure on the rim. Even when they did get set up exactly how they wanted though, it didn't do much. He already figured this out against Denver. He knows which gaps to attack, where to move the ball, and how to beat it. Take this play for example. He's not rushed at all, just patiently mapping the court and problem solving in real time. Then as soon as they get a 2-on-1 advantage in the corner, Dort sets a down screen for Caruso, prompting a skip pass to a wide open triple. Again, it's the patience that stood out most to me. He knows that by sending Dort to the opposite wing and slowly backing down, Booker's gonna have to commit to the ball. That's an easy pass, and even if Brooks is able to get out in time, there's nobody covering Mitchell in the opposite corner. Everything's so easy for OKC's role guys, and it's because of Shai's ability to always find the advantage. He knows they aren't going to leave him one-on-one with Gillespie in the middle of the floor, so he waits to see if it's Green or Brooks who's going to commit. Then he instantly reacts with a kickout pass, leading to another great look from 3. Sometimes you'll just see him skip that step altogether though. If he catches the ball in the middle of the floor, he can access a mid-range jumper quite literally whenever he wants. Same thing from up top. They're walling off the paint, and Booker does a great job of staying in front of him, but it just doesn't matter. And that had to be the most demoralizing thing for the Suns in this series. There were plenty of possessions where they executed their scheme to perfection, only for Shai to hit some outlandishly difficult jumper. Over these 4 games, he made 58% of his mid-range shots, which sounds like it should be an outlier, and then you remember that he made 54% in the regular season. This is just what he does. To make things even tougher, after game 1, the pull-up 3 was pretty much automatic. This was about a 38.5% shot for him in the regular season. It's not something he's actively hunting for, but he can always access it as a counter. And if he gets hot, that's yet another way for him to completely torch these matchup zones as a shot maker. The zones don't work. Straight up. The Suns had an idea in game 3 though. Remember, they put the smaller Gillespie on him to bring constant pressure. They know he's going to beat the pressure, and they know that late doubles don't work. But what about late triples? Yes, triple teams. Like I said earlier, they're looking to push him baseline. Then the low man is going to completely commit to his drive, while a third defender chases from his blind side. They're willing to live with anybody but Shai. You'd think that sending 3 defenders to the ball anytime he drove would prevent him from scoring. And don't get me wrong, he created plenty of open shots for his teammates, but he still found ways to force the issue by playing fast. As soon as he crosses half court, he's bursting into a baseline drive. And before the triple can get there, he's pulling up for a jumper. When I say playing fast, I mean in every facet. He knows that the Suns are going to switch this screen, and he knows that Iguodala is going to follow him to the baseline. By turning the corner with speed and going right at Booker one-on-one, he gets to his spot before any help can even react. Here's another example. He crosses half court, gets a high ball screen, and immediately drives around a switch before getting to his patented bump midi. Keep in mind, he's a threat to both score and pass, which takes me back to his processing speed. It takes 3 defenders to keep him from getting a bucket, only for Caruso to sneak baseline for a layup. That assertion from Shai to play fast extended into the open floor. He was looking for every possible opportunity to get out and run. And a sort of cherry on top is that he's one of the best transition scorers in the league. If there's only one man to beat, he's scoring every time. Even help doesn't do much once he's got a head of steam though. Allen forces him baseline, and Gillespie gets there in time to turn him away. There isn't an angle to the rim unless you're a contortionist, which Shai just so happens to be. After seeing full court pressure, a matchup zone, triple teams, and everything in between, Shai scored 42 points on 15 of 18 shooting. You heard that right. He became just the 5th player in NBA playoff history to score at least 40 points while shooting 80% from the field, against a top 10 defense who was fielding out a scheme that was built around letting anybody else beat them. Head coach Jordan Ott said it best.
Thought some of those shots were incredibly difficult. We know he can make some of those shots. Goal was to keep him off the free throw line. Thought he got there at times. Give him credit first. 42 points on 18 shots. We tried different matchups. Tried to take it out of his hands. He got to the area where it's a little hard to take it out of his hands when he just rises up over us. Again, we tried different defenders just to try to get to his ball. Give him credit. He had us spinning. He had us spinning tonight.
Phoenix's coaching staff wasn't out of answers just yet though. They started game 4 with a new wrinkle. Now Dillon Brooks had the matchup, and his assignment was to deny the ball full court. He was stuck to Shai's jersey like glue. They wanted anybody else initiating the offense. So he spent a portion of this game playing off of his teammates. In situations where Brooks failed to deny the ball, we saw that speed off the catch, attacking immediately. He was also setting lots of screens. This time he's able to get a switch onto Gillespie and post up from the middle of the floor. It doesn't even matter what the Suns do from this point. He's scoring. He wasn't just screening to get the ball though. He was screening to create space for his teammates. So he faces the ball and sets a screen for Mitchell, which serves as a screen on both defenders and leaves Mitchell with a runway to the basket. He doesn't convert, but good things happen when you get to the rim. If Shai just wanted the ball, he could simply move into open space. Brooks top blocks him, so he cuts back door. The defense collapses, he kicks it out, and Caruso's on an island. He started plenty of possessions in the middle of the floor or in the paint so that he could curl off a screen and get the ball up top. That's when the Suns fell back into their matchup zone, and when he continued to pick them apart as a playmaker. So the ball denial was pretty much a non-factor. This felt a lot like Game 3. The same concepts applied. Playing fast, attacking the gaps, getting out in transition, and just imposing himself on every single possession. They might as well have been in a box and won, with the way they chased him all over the court and walled off the paint. When he's capable of doing things like this, it simply does not matter. Once again, the Suns went for an anybody but Shai approach. His response? 31 points and 8 assists on 71% true shooting to complete the sweep. We might be witnessing the most surgical, inevitable, and effective on-ball creator in NBA history. It doesn't matter if he starts at the top of the key, in the corner, from the wing, or even from the post. It doesn't matter if you match him up with the fastest, the lengthiest, the strongest, or the most skilled one-on-one defender. It doesn't matter if you double team, triple team, or go to an over-aggressive zone. He's going to score 30 points. He's going to do so efficiently. He's going to get all of his teammates involved, and all of this while never turning the ball over. In this series, he averaged 34 points, 8 assists, and 2 turnovers a game on 68% true shooting. The Thunder had a 128 offensive rating. For reference, the Suns during the regular season held teams to 114, while the league playoff average has been just 112. OKC hit historic offensive heights, while shooting below their average percentage from 3. That's the Shai effect. If he continues to play like this, and role players continue to do their jobs, especially on defense, they're on a fast track to another NBA championship, and Shai to a second straight Finals MVP.